Jenna North.
Nice to meet you.
Mark is part of a contract that's going to rebuild this parking area down here. Jenna, she's an artist based in DC, and she's writing a proposal to a program that the Smithsonian has, which is to join artists with scientists and try to communicate science through art. Have you been to the main? You haven't been to the main campus?
Yeah, I did the tour.
But that particular carbon is in the plants, and they can prove that way that it is man-made and not natural. And they also can prove that what will happen with increased CO2 with the plants in the marshes.
This is Lowetta. Her name comes from the fact that she was taken in a place that's low and wet, basically the marsh. And it's an intact core of the top meter of this marsh in front of us. And you can tell by the color that it's brown and black, that there's really nothing in this other than decomposed plants. And this whole soil column is basically, what you're seeing here is that the amount of carbon removed by plants in a given year is greater than the amount of carbon returned to the atmosphere through decomposition by microbes. And so that difference, that part that never gets decomposed, accumulates over time. And basically the bottom of this core is probably about 1,500 years old. The marsh started 4,000 years ago. It's been accumulating carbon over that period of time. By accumulating carbon, it adds about 1 millimeter of elevation every year, which has allowed it to keep up with sea level rise. Because 4,000 years ago, the Chesapeake Bay was about 20 feet below our feet. Now it's 20 feet higher, but the marsh is 20 feet higher. So this marsh is actually able to engineer itself out of drowning. And the engineers in the story are these plants. We call these ecosystem engineers because they actually are capable of changing their environment to benefit themselves. So
were these planted in there,
carbon.
or this was taken?
It was just taken right out of this marsh.
Right.
And when we talk about blue carbon, this is what we're talking about.
Right.
Basically, this stored carbon in a blue marine setting.
And all we found were oyster shells, right? But then they did research, and the white man had treaties with all these tribes. They were all part of Powhatan's tribe, but they were little groups of 40 and 60 and 80 people along the shores here. And they made treaties with the white man, like fishing grounds, hunting grounds. These were arrangements, and they were all written down. But they couldn't find any crabs in here. All they found were oysters. We actually have treaties here where they're talking about crabs, but we don't find evidence of them. We need to use a finer mesh.
Some reporters call those time capsules or space bubbles. And that's basically what they are, like a time capsule. Because the plants inside these chambers, and including the ones that we've taken off, have been growing in an atmosphere that the whole world will be growing in at the end of the century. And these little ones that, as I say, are missing right now, those plants have been growing in that atmosphere for about 38 years. It's the longest running climate change experiment on the planet, other than the big one that we're all involved in.